Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Maddie B. And I don't even know where to start this week. We had so many random things pop up. One of the first ones I've been complaining about the officiating, right? And how many ads we've been getting from gambling. And then the Chauncey Billups thing comes out where they were saying like NBA, it's rigged. Like people are just betting and they know when someone's not going to play. And so they tell their buddies and they're like, when LeBron didn't play, people were like heavily betting against the team. And the FBI's been looking into it. And I thought, yeah, no, duh. Like they made it seem years ago. It was decades ago. Wasn't it like 20 years ago already? I don't even know what the exact date. But when that one official was doing point shaving or whatever, they made it seem like it was such an isolated case. And anyone that watched any basketball, which doesn't seem like a lot of people, they don't get good TV ratings during the regular season. And that's why I played fantasy basketball one season and I hated it because throughout the week you had guys getting scratched late night. Your stud's not playing and you're at the point where it's like, I can't drop the guy. Because I know most people probably didn't play fantasy basketball, but did I say baseball? I meant basketball. Basketball 1 year, and in football, like this week was heck week for me, hell week in fantasy football because I had the Rams out and the Seahawks out, I think. So I had Williams and what other Rams guy did I have? Oh, Devontae Adams. And then I had the Seahawks kicker and defense. That takes up 4 spots on my bench that I really don't want to drop because I think the defense is like number 1 or 2. Devontae Adams, of course, I'm not dropping. And I can't get a replacement running back for Williams at this point, even if he's not having a great year. And so I have to balance my team trying to like cut a bunch of jabronis that I don't want just to make it fit. And in basketball, you're doing that every day. And you don't even know if guys are going to be out, if they have like lingering issues. And it was horrible. I hated it. I never played hockey, but I did play baseball. And the way we did around it was I tried a couple of different leagues. Same thing. If you're doing daily leagues, man, it's like a job. But I like doing baseball as like a weekly point total thing, head to head, where you lock your lineup in for the week. And then we joked early and way back in the show, like I had that one guy. Didn't he like wreck his boat or something and died like right in my playoff push? And then like you have things like that happen where, yeah, I set my lineup. Great. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for wrecking your boat on drugs, whatever that one guy was. That Hernandez? I can't even remember. But I guess you could have that happen in football. I don't know. But that's where I'm at with the gambling thing. Fantasy was already the tipping point. People getting into it. They're super hard into it. You can't tell me. I mean, I was mad. Was it last week where the Bears? I actually had someone reach out that's a Bears fan and said that they agreed. And this week the Bears got ripped off again. Now I didn't catch the Bears game. But if you're telling me there's a coincidence where the officials are against certain teams, oh heck yeah, I'd believe it because I see it with the Chiefs. Guys line back 15 yards. No flags. Like, how can the tackle be back 3 yards before the play starts? Lined up that way, right? He's in the backfield. That should be an illegal formation. Don't flag it. Then you have the Eagles where on replay, you see their entire line jumps on a tush push. Don't flag it. Another team tries to run it. I forget what team tried to run it and they flagged them. And I thought, you can't have it both ways. You can't have certain officiating because now you have all these extra eyeballs for people that didn't watch sports that are now gambling on it because they think, well, it's easier for me to gamble than to do like stocks or something, right? Like I know this one team wins a good bit, like the Dodgers. Like, oh yeah, everyone's telling me you watching the baseball. This Dodgers team's loaded. It's great. No, I don't care. Like I only care about the Braves, and baseball used to be my favorite sport growing up. And it slowly got replaced. I mean, college football was up there too. College football is probably like my number one. I did play baseball the most though. So we'll say college football and baseball were tops. And baseball over time, because of the witch hunt for steroids, when you could tell everyone was doing them, or you can't just single out like my man Barry Bonds. And then now it's like, okay, dead period. You still have people doing steroids. You still have people gambling, doing other things and getting suspended. And it's just not fun anymore. Like it stinks whenever you have a team. And I know a lot of Pirates fans that are listening, they can sympathize because it's not just them. But like even Freddie Freeman hit a game-winning home run. He was a Brave. Why did he go to the Dodgers? Is it like it's just a money thing in baseball? And then they load up and they have just a stacked team. And was Freeman on the Braves World Series team? I think they were. I think he was. And so you have a fan watching his team, and then whenever the season's over, his best players are just going to the highest paying team. And I see the argument coming from college football, which is why I brought up. Because with NIL, what I don't think people are realizing with this coaching thing, it's going to be a little bit different. Because before, you had teams paying under the table. And they had the best rosters every year. Alabama didn't have the number one class every single year by accident. Now with NIL, because of just how many teams there are, I think it's going to be different than baseball. Where, you're going to have a couple of teams that are good. They've always been good. They've historically been good. There's like a handful of teams. Everyone knows who they are. It's going to be probably Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Texas, and probably Alabama. You're going to get USC throwing money around. You're going to get Oregon throwing money around. You're going to get Penn State, Florida. Like some of these teams now are just starting to get in, Texas Tech. Where before, they weren't able to do that on the same level because the NCAA would enforce rules arbitrarily. Like they would just pick teams they didn't like and they would hammer you. That's why like you would hear like, oh, Ohio State's getting investigated. Oh, like Toledo's getting hammered because like they're going to find something to just go through and pick a different team to get on. And so now I think with baseball, you only have a limited number of teams. You only have a limited number of players. Same with basketball. Basketball's even easier for these guys to fix because there's only 5 on the court at a time. How many times you see a guy dribble down, look like he's trying to get contact and flop, turn the ball over? Oh, that's all he has to do to shave points.
Well, at one point I had heard with basketball, a lot of those players are such good shots that even to back up a step or two gives them like essentially like knockdown from anywhere because of how good their shooting range is. If you really want to rig it, it's like just back up 2 steps and then they have open shots everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's the one thing too. What people don't realize, these guys are shooting hoops for hours a day. Like the guys that stick in the league, they're out there working hard for hours a day. Like even that goes for every sport for the most part. If a guy's uber talented and he's not working hard, he might get away with it for a couple years. Those are the guys that usually look like they're going to be Hall of Famers and then they sizzle early because you're not putting in the time. And every year you get a guy that's a little bit younger than you. Then instead of like you playing into your 40s, you're done at age 27, right? And so guys like Kobe or Michael Jordan, and I just saw a story where Michael Jordan, he went to some guy's house like doing something, and his kid was a big fan and wanted him to make a free throw, and he was nervous because he hadn't been practicing free throws. And he was like, man, I wish I had been training. Like how many guys are in that mindset? Like, dude, I should be training just in case some kid asks me to shoot some free throws. Like not a lot of people, right? Like, were you throwing footballs every day just in case a guy tries to ask you to play catch, Matt? Like, nah, I better just be ready.
Not right now because I feel like my elbow's all flared out, so I'm waiting for that swelling to go down.
Yeah, see, you're injured. You're old. You're on the IR. That's where like people bring in like their mitt to the game. Like they're not bringing you into the game, dude. Not calling you in. They're not going to bring you in. But basketball, yeah, these guys are good. They're friends. They all talk. They probably all text each other and things. And it goes with like even position groups. A lot of the guys in football and stuff and other sports, they work out in the offseason together. Like if you're playing the same game for 10 years, you're going to pretty much know everybody in the league that are also veterans. That's just how it works, right? Think of you at your job. Anybody listening, like you probably know people from your work that are higher ups or whatever that have been there on the journey with you if you've been there for a decent amount of time. That's how it is for some of these guys. Like they know each other, work out together, the officials, whatever. And so you just don't have to tell them like, yeah, I'm just getting a little bit older, I'm missing a couple shots here and there. I mean, with the personal prop betting, that's where you got to really be careful. And I'm sure the FBI is like, I mean, it seems like they're wasting time on this, right? But like, just don't let them gamble on their own team. Like that's the Pete roasting, right? Don't gamble on your own sport. I find it disingenuous, right? Because I sent you a joke like, hey, Chauncey Billups got caught. This is brought to you by ESPN Bet. Because that's all you hear is articles about like gambling, or there's commercials about gambling. They interrupted the one game I was watching on, I think it was the NFL. And they're like, hey, here's our updated break. You can get on Fantasy Pros or whatever right now, and you can bet on this guy to make a touchdown in the last quarter for this much money. And I thought, are people really just sitting there bored and like, all right, hey, good thing they showed me this ad. I'm going to place a bet real quick. I mean, I'm sure they are. Right? You're drinking, it's late. Yeah. You're like, I'll throw $10 at that. But I've noticed for fantasy, you can back me up on this. This could be a conspiracy theory level. But I noticed that some games, a guy will start off, because I played against Deebo Samuel last night. He caught 3 catches like early in the game, first quarter-ish. Whatever. He needed to get a touchdown or whatever. They tried to throw a touchdown to him. And then the second half, like absolutely nothing. Their offense wasn't doing anything. You telling me that they just didn't like spread the ball around to him? Or he like got injured? And some guys are like hot like that, where I notice if I have a guy on a team that's like a tight end or something, he might get 3 targets early and a touchdown. I thought it was going to happen with Kraft. Because I had Kraft, I rode him to the win this week, where they kept throwing to him. And I thought, all right, come on, love, like it's over. Like he already caught his 1 touchdown. Like you don't have to throw it to him anymore. Like that's his quota for the week for gamblers or whatever. But then I think he got like 2 touchdowns or 3. He had like a ton of yards, and it was the same thing for Taylor. I played against Taylor, and that's why I thought I was going to lose at first, because the Colts had him he had like 100 rushing yards in the first half, and I thought, watch them just bench him, right? Like he's not going to get any more touches. He got his like numbers, and I don't know if it's like conscious where they're saying like, okay, we know we have these incentives in his contract where if he's hitting X, Y, Z, so we're just going to, rotate him out in the second half. Some of it, I wonder if it's that, right? Because guys have a heavily incentive contracts, right? Do you think that?
Possibly.
Because I noticed, and I'm a little too into the fantasy stuff. I've noticed that if I have a guy gets hot one week, I might as well bench him the next week. Because he's not doing anything. He's not showing up the next week, right? Very hard for a guy to go off. Like Kraft, I would be amazed if he caught a touchdown next week. Amazed. I'm not telling you to go bet that he's not going to catch one, but everyone's going to see that he had a breakout game against the Steelers for the Packers, and they're going to say, you know what, it was tight ends day, we'll let it slide. Next week, not getting anything. And so, like, I don't, like, do they just shift their philosophies every week where it's just kind of like whack-a-mole, where it's like, this guy's hot, let's shut him down. There are a few guys that always get their touches, and those seem like to be the best guys usually ever, like McCaffrey. He's always going to eat. Probably Taylor now, too, because, like, they were definitely trying to. I mean, but some teams just stink. So it's hard. But I noticed with the Eagles, like, I have Devontae Adams, and Brown has been unhappy. They've talked about maybe trading him. They never trade him. But in fantasy, you're getting one or the other. Like, it's whoever Hurts decides, this is who I'm throwing to this week, they're going to have a good game. And if you're gambling on that, and you watch like the first couple minutes. Like there was that one game a couple weeks ago. I was at the beach watching Eagles, and my buddy's an Eagle fan. I told him, this is Devontae Smith's game. I bet he gets a touchdown. No, not even joking. The next play, touchdown, like a deep post. Because I said he's keen on him. You can tell when the Eagles are like going. I know which guy is going to get the touchdown that week. Because the defense isn't going to stop their offense, right? And so that's where you kind of wonder. I don't think it's just basketball. I saw ESPN had some crazy article where it was like, hey, the next gambling scandal is coming soon because everyone's doing it. And it's like, yeah, we already know. The Oklahoma quarterback was caught gambling on his Venmo, whatever. They said, nah, like it's okay. He wasn't betting on his own team or whatever. I mean, he was betting on football. That's what it said, UCLA and USC. And that's just the investigation, but they dropped it, right? He said it didn't happen. I don't know if they ever looked into it more. But with all the ads, I don't blame the kids for doing it. I feel bad for some of these guys. I don't think that a lot of them come from good situations where they're going to be able to just tell them no. Wasn't it like Vanderbilt or something? Didn't they have like rumors that they had a guy on their team involved with the mob making bets? Some of this you don't really know. Like we don't even know if the Oklahoma thing, I mean, that's his like public Venmo. That's on him saying that he's gambling. Like I didn't do any investigations myself. That's just what he put. So who knows? But if he's putting it out there, not caring, how many guys aren't putting it out there and are doing it? Probably a ton. Because like the thing with NIL, and then we'll circle back to the NFL stuff because I know I've been all over the place. It's been a weird week because I don't think the changing of coaching guard in the college football is going to end soon. I think we have a 2 or 3 year cycle where the NIL purge continues. And it's hard because like you have a coach that could be young. He might be on the cutting edge of this. You have a guy that could be old, like Cignetti, that's eating right now. You could very easily have an Indiana national champion this year because of a combination of the NIL, where Indiana, I've heard from people that do like the analytics type stuff on the athletic side, that Indiana has a top 10 payroll this year. And for the people saying like, oh, it's a lock that Florida or LSU is going to hire Cignetti, they could be in for a shock. Because Indiana right now is realizing that they have so much hype and they haven't been good even at basketball for a long time. Before the season, or actually before 2 years ago, if you would have had anyone bet in Indiana, you gave them like a free $100. Hey, what's your next championship going to be in football or basketball? 99% of those people are picking basketball, unless they're complete football homers. There's no one in their right mind would said Indiana has a chance to win a football national championship. And that's the reality this year. Because you bring in what could be the hottest football coach. If they let him walk, and maybe it's him and there's nothing they can do. But if he's smart, he stays there. They were hyping up Indiana to try to get 9 wins a couple years ago as like their ceiling. I saw someone did like a thing and they were calling them like 9 Indiana. Remember that? Like that was like their perceived ceiling. And so now they're looking like they're going to go undefeated. They played Penn State. I don't think Penn State's going to upset them. Well, I guess we'll find out. Penn State's playing Ohio State this week. But the rest of Indiana's schedule seems to be pretty easy. They already beat Oregon on the road. That was their tough game. Now, will they beat Ohio State and win the Big Ten championship? I don't know. Maybe they won't even play Ohio State, right? We don't know how the rest of the Big Ten schedule is going to shake out. But all these other coaches that are like, I've heard James Franklin, some people down here in ACC country thought that Virginia Tech might be able to land him. And I've heard some feelers they put out where James Franklin thinks that he he's bigger than what Virginia Tech can offer. I don't know if that's true, but I also wonder what programs he's looking at then. Because Virginia Tech could be a top, I would say they're kind of like a middle football program. But if that, you're throwing in like a ton of programs like Pitt, I would say like Virginia Tech, West Virginia, they're all in that mix. Oklahoma State's in that mix probably. Who else? I know Pitt and West Virginia don't have, but based on our listeners for the show, very Pennsylvania based. Like they're not on Penn State level. So if he's looking on a Penn State level, even like if Michigan State opens up, is that? I mean, they're above Virginia Tech maybe in money wise, but is Michigan State better than Virginia Tech like football historically? Yeah, probably, I guess in the 50s. Virginia Tech hasn't been good. They would probably kill for a 10-win season. I know NC State right now, they would love to land James Franklin. But if he's telling Virginia Tech that they're too low, NC State's definitely probably too low. He doesn't have a lot of landing spots. LSU and Florida, I doubt, are going to call him up. Remember I brought up DeBoer? How Penn State might be like looking at him?
Yeah.
There's been a lot of heat coming out that he would love to move back to the North. I'm not saying Penn State, but like, let's say if like Michigan or something opened, don't be surprised if he doesn't make that jump. Notre Dame. Remember Penn State was trying to get Freeman. I saw that Freeman turned down Florida. I don't think he turned down Penn State, which is weird, right? Weird. Why would you turn down one and not the other? Like, hey, Florida, sorry. Like Penn State, I didn't say anything about them. Other Penn State rumors, probably false because you can't trust these people I talk to. Urban Meyer, dude, on the table. Hartline on the table. Matt Rule out. Because they're realizing right now how bad the optics are going to be if you fire James Franklin and then hire a worse version of James Franklin and Matt Rule. Nebraska's not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. I don't know what their schedule looks like. I don't know if they play Indiana. I think they play Iowa. They lost to Michigan. That was their key game. Then they dropped the one to Minnesota, and Minnesota's been getting killed lately. So we don't even know if Minnesota's any good. You could say Matt Rule, his head has been at Penn State. They already hired him, maybe. But I would have to think that if you hire Matt Rule after firing James Franklin, that has to be a horrible hire. It could work out, but I'm just saying right now, if you're a fan of Penn State, dude, I feel bad for you. I would be pumped if they hired Matt Rule. Because, yeah, I actually would be pumped if they hired Hartline. He's like Ohio State's ace recruiter. Penn State seemed to love that part of James Franklin. If they hire Hartline, even if it doesn't work out, that 100% helps Michigan. 100%. Because you're taking their best recruiter and bringing him to Penn State, and he's going to take some of his Ohio State resources with him. I think the second best hire for Michigan would be Urban Meyer for the same reason. Did you see him on the field, the Indiana field sideline?
Yeah.
Where he's like just staring down Cignetti. And then he made a comment about how he said, oh, we'll be seeing them in a couple weeks in the Big Ten championship game. We meaning Urban Meyer in Ohio State. Like weird, right? That he's still in the mindset that he's there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but having a guy down on the field and being an analyst.
Well, I'm sure that he still has access to all their.
Yeah, he does, dude. But no, Connor Stalions and his iPhone army, way more impactful than your former head coach being a shadow head coach. That wouldn't impact at all, right? Getting film, helping break it down, being on the sideline at the game. Like they make a big deal about Tom Brady in the NFL. Urban Meyer is doing the same exact thing at Ohio State. So Penn State, hire him. He has to have something to prove. Other than that, I would love to see Hartline. I don't know what else Penn State would do. Like, to me, you fire James Franklin, you cut a bunch of money. You can get Hartline for cheap, and his buyout can be cheap. That's where Michigan is with Sherrone Moore right now. Penn State could do the exact same thing. Hire someone young for cheap, go all in on recruiting talent, bring in your version of Underwood, right? And give him all this talent, and then say, Learn on the job. You can probably out talent everybody, right? Except for a couple teams. Go for it. Like that's what they're basically saying James Franklin was doing. So you got to put it out there. If you think Franklin was really just winning based on talent, bring in a young guy, a cheap guy. If you can't get Cignetti, because he's still my number one, and someone was like, hey, Luke Fickell was just like Cignetti. I keep having people tell me that because no. Fickell stunk in his interim season at Ohio State. Yeah, he battled and was like one of the hottest coaches because he got Cincinnati to the playoffs. Cignetti has been winning at lower levels and climbing up. If anything, Cignetti's more like John Beilein, Michigan's old basketball coach, right? He started at like D3 Erie or something, right? And worked his way up. Cignetti was at IUP.
That's right. He was an IUP man.
So
we're held to a higher standard.
Him and Fickell are nowhere close. Fickell was interim at Ohio State and went 6-7. Cignetti has been building himself up.
And he didn't do it at IUP. Big difference.
And see, that's where I hope I'm kind of cheering for Cignetti to win the national championship. Beilein got close. He was in the national championship twice at Michigan and couldn't get it done. Before that, he was at West Virginia. So Cignetti could be at Indiana. That could be his West Virginia stop, right? And then he goes to a big program and sees if he can get it done. If he goes to like a Florida or something, I'm not pulling for Cignetti anymore. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't even care if it's a Big Ten school. Like, let's say Penn State hires Matt Rule and then Nebraska hires Cignetti away from Indiana. I think that would be a horrible move by him. But either way, you lose that aspect of, holy crap, this guy is winning at a program where like their favorite coach was Lee Corso for like a run in the 70s where they didn't really win anything. Like that highlight they show is Corso dancing when I think, is it Anthony Carter from Michigan catches that one slant with no time left to win? And like that's like a highlight of Indiana football. They hadn't beat like Michigan or Ohio State in like decades. And so now he beats Michigan last year. If he could somehow go undefeated and beat Ohio State, even if they falter in the playoffs, that's a monumental, legendary coaching move. And he could probably be at Indiana for the rest of his career. He's already old. I don't know if you'd want to bounce around and play with fire. I know he's confident. He writes like attack on his hands and things. But Penn State, ask for him, get denied, bring in Urban or Hartline. Because the bigger dagger would be, I don't know if you watched the Michigan State game, but that Michigan State program, they're down in the dumps. They have no talent right now. The NIL is killing them. And I mean, they have talented players.
And I kind of thought that was a name initially that I thought might make some noise. But then when you really look closer at Ohio State situation, like he's been there forever, and they're not handing off solely play calling responsibilities. Like he's only the passing game coordinator, and it's like they're giving him titles to like continue to pad his resume. But
well, they had him up, and they demoted him, I thought.
Yeah,
and they brought in Chip Kelly, and so that's where like if I'm looking at either, and I'm bringing up Michigan State because I think they're probably gonna just a culture fit. I don't know how you don't. If you don't win, I think you're in the same situation I brought up with Norvell. If Michigan State isn't winning any Big Ten games, you have to move on. Like, I don't know how many years you can give a guy. At least Norvell won the ACC that one year. Jonathan Smith has nothing, and he hasn't brought in the level of talent other than a couple random guys. Like, he hasn't just brought it in or developed it, too, because you don't have to recruit well. You can develop it like Iowa, and no one would say anything. So, like, if the rumors are true where Penn State and Michigan State might get into this weird bidding war for either Hartline or Urban Meyer if he's interested, you have to go with it just for the recruiting side of things. And like I said, you're going to do it for cheap, right? You're hurting your number one rival, whether they want to admit it or not. Ohio State's talent still is going to be number one. Like I know Michigan State has a weird hatred for Michigan, but you can't beat Michigan until you take Ohio State down a peg like D'Antonio did, right? Where he was directly competing with Ohio State for a lot of Ohio guys, and he was getting them. And then by proxy, then you're able, and Michigan was down with coaching at the time, but you still able to beat Michigan, able to beat Ohio State, make the playoffs. If you're just focused on, oh, we got to do our own thing and only on your own level, you're going to have a tough time. That's where I think right now, Georgia focused on Alabama. They can't beat them. I mean, as hard as they try, like they beat Alabama like one time, but at least they're recruiting knowing that, hey, we got to get guys that Alabama's going for. And that's really the blueprint for a lot of these programs. And that's where I'm curious to see what Cignetti does. Is he able to just start targeting guys and stop Ohio State from just like hoarding offensive skill talent? Because there's a big gap between Oregon across the country and Ohio State in the Midwest. They're getting any skill player they want, even down to Texas or whatever. If Indiana keeps winning and they are paying top 10 money, will Cignetti and his hype program be able to steal some of these top wide receivers away? Or if Hartline goes to Penn State, are they just going to start bringing in 5-star receivers and get back to that run where they were getting guys like Godwin just drafted high? That's really what's missing the last couple of years of Penn State. When Franklin got there, they were getting receivers drafted left and right. Now, I don't know if they've had any. They had Tyler Warren as a tight end. Like they kind of shifted, and they haven't had any big-time receivers. Hartline gets them back to that. Now, is he going to just hire guys and not be involved in play calling and just running the show? I don't know. It's going to be a weird thing. But yeah, let's see. What else did I send you? Oh, we had our coaching. Most of the stuff from the coaching things. Napier was fired. I think that was 2 weeks ago now. I don't even know. Yeah. And so Brian Kelly comes in, tries to get into the building. His key doesn't work. I don't know. Did you see that video? So they had already made the decision that he was gone for Sunday morning. There's a video I saw floating around where he tries to get into the building and someone has to come and let him in. They told him it was a glitch, probably because they were working out the contract stuff with him. He was supposed to be owed $50 million from what I've read. He took a lower buyout, I think of $20 million is the report. And unlike James Franklin thing, where he can actually get out ahead now, Brian Kelly, because he wants to coach again. Where the difference with Franklin, and I could be wrong, so hopefully I got all these details right. Franklin's contract right now, the buyout, I don't think they negotiated down. So whatever he was supposed to be paid a year from Penn State, if Franklin gets another job, Penn State just subtracts that. Right. So if they were supposed to pay him $8 million a year and Franklin lands a $10 million job or something, Penn State might not really be paying a buyout for him. Where LSU, on the other hand, if Brian Kelly might have just been like, you know what, I don't really care. I'm not going to get a job, whatever. He played hardball where they're just going to pay him the $20 million and then he can still get a full coaching salary from somewhere else. So if he lands a gig for $8 million a year, he's getting his buyout money and that, and he could be making a ton more. Is the report that I've seen, where they must have really had nothing on Brian Kelly. They tried to fire him for cause, is what the report said. So they locked him out, looked for a reason to get rid of him just being a jerk, but they knew that when they hired him, right? So yeah. What are you going to do? And so that's where, like, I think he's hedging his bets, saying there are programs like Virginia Tech that Franklin might not be wanting, but Brian Kelly also wants back into the North because, like, that's where you have your relationships. That's where DeBoer has his relationships. That's where, like, you get some coaches that they get out of their element, like Brian Kelly goes down south, doesn't have the relationship. Hard for him to build that up. People make fun of him. He does his own thing. They're like, he doesn't fit in. He's not doing it our way. LSU had like, I saw someone say like, we tell our coaches like, you don't own the office. You're using it as part of our program. Like it's kind of like a weird way to kind of be in charge. And I've seen the things that LSU fans where they think their program, because they've won national championships with 3 different coaches recently, that's pre-NIL. I'm throwing that out there. That is pre-NIL, where LSU was the only game in town. They were in the SEC by themselves, beside the state of Texas. Now you have A&M and Texas both in the SEC, both with way bigger NIL budgets than what LSU has. LSU is not the attractive job it once was. I don't see any media people bringing that up. And I keep seeing people say like, well, LSU, like that's the top job. No, it's not. All you have to do is look at it and say like, well, what's our budget? Dude, you have the governor stepping in and firing Brian Kelly. He was tweeting about like, well, we're trying to raise money here. There's no way we're going to be able to do it with the loser coach like Brian Kelly or whatever he said. That's a paraphrase. Getting rid of him. Who would want to go to that job? Who would want to go to where the governor's stepping in and you don't have the NIL budget that your rivals do now? I mean, heck, they try to get Underwood. They couldn't compete with Michigan. They're not competing with Texas. They're not competing with A&M. I don't see any way how they can look at that situation and say, oh, the coaches are going to be lined up for this job. And we just fired a guy that had a high winning record at LSU. Did he win the conference? No. Did they play for the conference championship? I'm pretty sure Brian Kelly did, didn't he? When Daniels was there. I think wasn't he the coach of Daniels?
He was, but that wasn't the national championship because that was
the SEC championship is what I mean. So he was close to winning. That's what they're saying. Like, oh, he couldn't even win the SEC championship. I'm trying to find out what year that was, but I'm pretty sure they lost to Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he won the division title his first year. And they lost to probably Georgia. They were 10-4. He was 34-14, whatever that would be. He had 3 losses this year, but that's like Bo Pelini level, right? I mean, they're saying like he had 9-4 like every year. Brian Kelly had 2 double-digit win seasons, and there's a good chance that he would have had another double-digit win season this year. Because they're playing Alabama, Arkansas, Western Kentucky, Oklahoma. All he would have to do is, split Alabama, Oklahoma, and then win a bowl game, maybe? Is that to be enough? No, maybe he would have needed one more. No, because they would have been 10-4. Yeah, no, that one's because of the championship game where they lost to Georgia. I mean, it was 30-50, but that Georgia team was loaded. Then they won the national championship in 22. Yeah, because Michigan won it in 23. So I don't know what coach would look at his record and even Coach O and say, you know what? I want to go there. Because what are you doing? Like that would be a horrible coaching position. You can say like, yeah, they have all the talent. They don't have the NIL budget. They don't have the support, and they fire coaches on a whim, even if they win the national championship. Horrible job. Penn State, dude, they have you hang around for 10, 12 years. How long was Franklin there? Forever. Just moseying along. And so Florida, on the other hand, to me, Florida would be the best. I keep hearing that they're competing with Miami and Florida State. Yeah, at a certain level, but everything in the media now is talking about the Power 2 conference. That doesn't include Florida State and Miami. So that rhetoric, is going to continue. And if the SEC keeps getting 5 teams in the playoffs, Florida, to me, would be the easier job. You have the best talented state. Maybe you could say like Texas or California is in the mix. But to me, Florida usually has such deep talent that it's easy. Plus, you're so close to Georgia, too, that it would be easy to recruit there. That's why I think people have been surprised that Miami has never been back to the levels until like recently. And even then, they can't win like the ACC even. So what are you doing? What are you doing there? Like, I just don't get it. I hear people say, well, maybe we can go ahead at LSU and get like Nick Saban back. Would that even be good? I saw a thing where people were talking about still how he's like the greatest coach and all this stuff. He had 2 undefeated seasons. 2. Nick Saban highly benefited from the expanded playoff and the SEC bias in all his recruiting classes. Like, dude, he had the number 1 recruiting class for like a decade straight, and he had 2 undefeated seasons. Didn't Dabo have 2 undefeated seasons?
I think.
So you can blame it like, oh no, he was in the SEC, like it's harder to win there. Like, no, I'm gonna look it up to see how many Dabo had, because he's on the hot seat too. I think you're at the point now where like Dabo will be gone. He's gonna be gone, right? And some of these guys, they're not getting another opportunity. Where's Jimbo Fisher right now? Do you know?
He's at home. He's like us.
Yeah, Clemson. No, they were 14-1. So he had 1 undefeated season. Harbaugh had 1 undefeated season. Herbs had 1. No, Herbs had. Yeah, he had 1, but he didn't win the national championship at Ohio State. But he had 1 at Utah. I don't think he had 1 at Florida either. What about Pete Carroll? Did he have 2? I should start bringing that up. How many did Bobby have? Bobby Bowden. He had to have a couple. Different time, people will tell me. But that's an honest thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Much longer careers, but...
And you know, I take Saban with a grain of salt, too, because he saw what the NIL process was going to bring. And, you know, inevitably chose to step out.
And that's where I'm looking at, what was it? Did Stanford beat Florida State? Is that the game I was watching where like Andrew Luck is like the GM?
Yeah.
He's like walking around. I think that's where you're going to be at the point where I heard, this is a Penn State thing. So I heard that they were been talking to Urban, right? And all their NIL stuff they pitched to him, like Urban was very, very out of the loop on. Like they graded, I don't know how much I trust, but this guy told me that they graded Urban very low on his ability to help Penn State's NIL group. But on the other hand, they might be able to take like Urban and just separate them and hire an NIL like GM that would come in, recruit all the players. All Urban would have to do is coach. We know he's great at that.
Which is what I think he wanted anyhow.
Yeah. And so like if
he kind of preferred it to have, because all of that shady stuff, he knows he can have somebody else do, and then it doesn't blow back on him.
And if like that's a sweetheart deal for him, maybe LSU could do the same thing and bring Saban back. Right? That could be a thing where we start to see coaches get recycled like you do in the NFL, where a school's going to look at a guy and say, well, he didn't really work out there. Franklin didn't really work out there, but what if we're doing NIL better and he can just focus on the coaching aspect? Or like if you're in a James Franklin where like your knock is that you don't win big games, I think you're going to have a tough time getting into a big program, right? Like LSU losing big games, they're not going to hire another guy that just loses big games. Same with Matt Rule. Hey, we just fired Franklin. We said he couldn't win big games. Hey, here's Matt Rule. He's 0 for 92 against ranked teams. Let's bring him in, right? How would that get any fan or NIL support? It'd be nothing. You're better off bringing in Hartline, like I said, and just having a list. Remember that promo Harbaugh had when he started at Michigan? It was like all those NFL guys he developed at Stanford, and Stanford was like super pissed off because they were like, "Hey, that was our school; those are our guys." And Harbaugh's like, "Yeah, but I developed them, right?" Like that could be Hartline. He just has a poster of all his Ohio State receivers that he recruited in the NFL, and then that's like Penn State's like thing. They're like, "Hey, he doesn't have a good record, but look at these dudes," and you're like, "Oh man, Marvin Harrison." Yeah, Smith and Jigba, like all these guys, like Garrett Wilson. This'd be a good list, bro. Penn State would be like popping, right? I'm sure people know them. Jeremiah Smith. And oh yeah, holy crap! What if you can get some transfers? Unlimited transfers. Your coach leaves, you can just go. Ryan Day. I'm kind of hoping for that now. Otherwise, I don't even, because if Hartline goes to Penn State, I don't think he would have a drop off in recruiting. If he goes and takes another job where it's like, oh, he's going to Virginia Tech, it's not going to be as impactful, right? Penn State and Ohio State are going to be head to head. And Penn State, as we've seen from their hockey and other endeavors, they have the NIL support and money where they're ready to go. I also saw they're trying to talk to getting Brady back. Was it Joe Brady? Who's the Bills guy that Penn State had for a little bit as a grad assistant or something? I think it was him, right? He went to LSU and won the national championship as the OC.
Yeah.
There's rumors that they were trying to get to him too, maybe. And I thought, will he go back to the NFL, to college? I don't know. I guess it depends on what you're trying to do. Right? I think you would have to be the head coach, though. You don't leave to come back to college and not be the head coach. These are all things I'm hearing. Well, of course, we know a lot of Penn State people. So could this be real? I don't know. I'm not deep into Penn State myself. So we'll see what happens. The other coaching thing I'll just throw in here real quick. You've probably seen it. I don't really have much to add, but Michigan dropped their lawsuit with Sharon Moore against the NCAA. Very odd timing, right after Michigan beat Nebraska, which was supposed to be the key game in Michigan playing for the playoffs this year, right? Depending on how things shake out, they just beat Michigan State. If Michigan wins out, most likely in the playoffs because it beat Ohio State. Even if they drop the Ohio State game, if things go weird, or was it Alabama was 9-3 last year and just on the outside, it could very well happen again. And with the parity we've seen this year, a 3-loss team could very easily make the playoffs. So I wonder if that timing's weird. There's also been rumors that the monetary punishment as part of dropping it was lowered. I guess we will find out later. But the one hero that's still fighting the NCAA, Connor Stallions, we'll see what happens. Right? He's fighting because he wants to be back into coaching. He wants his show cause dropped. I hope he gets it. Right? I think he got railroaded, especially with the barbs Lane Kiffin was throwing at Venables about how he was stealing signs and stuff. Come on. You can't hype up one guy for stealing signs and then throw a random staffer and like ban him for life. For what? Having people send him videos or whatever he said? Give me a break. Let's see what else. Anything you want to talk about football wise?
I mean, the thing that I was surprised with this week was the way that I went from last to first place in our fantasy league.
Oh, dude, I do the power rankings every week, and I have you down because you're like one of the bottom third in scoring. So you're like the luckiest team. I think your playoff, even though you're in first in your division, your playoff percentage is like what, 70?
Yeah, like going into the week, it was terrible, and I was like, well, I was fully anticipating being like, well, like the way that I play now is I just look at it like, as long as I'm in a spot where, like, if my guys play, if I played the right people that week, where like I'm not leaving a bunch of points on the bench. Like I'm satisfied with however the week plays out. Like last week, I ended up losing because I had 3 guys playing out of position, or like that. I thought, oh, this guy will score better, or they'll have more points, and then it ended up not being the case.
Well, you can thank me, dude, because I beat the guy that was in first in your division. You can thank Kraft.
I know.
Actually.
I looked at it, I was like, all right, I took down my guy, and then you helped again. So I was like, there it goes, from the bottom to the top. Like it was a complete flip.
Well, see, after I got ripped off from that Bears touchdown last week, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, I was down because I had all those guys on bye, and I had 2 guys. Nico Collins had a concussion, and Lamar Jackson, they listed as a practice participant. So on Thursday, I went to pick up the Chargers defense, and then I got cold feet, right? Because I thought, oh my gosh, if Nico doesn't play because of his concussion, I'm going to have to pick someone up. So I picked up Gadsden for $5, and that's the Chargers tight end. He's hot. And I thought, or no, I guess $11. I don't even know what I pay for people. I don't even know what the bids were. Who did I picked up someone else for $5. Maybe it was Tyrone Tracy, which is also, oh no, I actually got him for $1. So I had a couple things break my way. I pick up Gadsden thinking, oh, people are going to be bidding $50 for this guy. I'll get him instead of the Chargers D, and then I'll play it by ear. I picked up the Texans D after they rolled out Lamar Jackson, which the NFL is looking into for the same thing where they said he's practicing. I thought he was going to play, and then last minute they scratched him. So I dropped Sam Darnold, and I only had CJ Stroud because I didn't have any spots. I picked up because Aaron Jones was also on the DL or IR, and he came back Thursday night. So he ate up a spot. I had to activate him, and I didn't want to drop him because he started the season pretty good until he got hurt. So I played him. He only got me 4 points. So I thought, well, I'm screwed. I watched the Chargers defense get 13 points, and I said, man, I should have just played one of the other guys. I picked up Tracy and Mononaghy, the Bears backup, because they've been feeding him. And as soon as I picked up Tracy for $1, Scatabo broke his ankle, right?
Yep.
So now I have the Giants number 1 to go with Williams, Kyron Williams, Aaron Jones, and Pollard. So I should have 4 number 1 running backs to rotate around if I need help. I'll probably jinx myself as a horrible. Plus, I picked up Gadsden, so if he stays to be an awesome flex, I'll have him and Tucker Kraft to go with my slew of receivers, and hopefully Lamar Jackson comes back. I'm going to be sitting pretty, I think, for a little bit. Now, will it work out? Who knows? I need to find I have my kicker. I thought he was higher, but I guess he just had a bye. He's number 8 overall, Myers from the Seahawks. But I had the Seahawks D, which is still number 2. Highest scoring D. That's my man, McDonald. Remember, he doesn't need signs to give me high fantasy points in the NFL, Matt. He didn't show up against Georgia that one year, but that's because he's probably interviewing for the NFL. I got to cut him some slack. Would have been nice if he would have won for me. I'll try to give some other, if you're in a league that didn't pick up yet, and you need a running back, Tyrone Tracy, he's been getting like 6 or so points. I had him just as a flex. I think he had 10 last week, and we're in a PPR. No, he didn't even have any receptions. But now with Scatabo out, that would be the number 1 running back pickup I would be grabbing. Because with Dart, they've been playing pretty good. The rest of them, man, Gadsden, he has to be picked up by now in most leagues. I was surprised our league didn't have anyone pick him up because he's had 11, 29, and 18 the last 3 weeks. As a tight end, that's pretty damn good. So this week I only have 1 guy out on a bye. We'll see if I can keep the streak alive. It was funny because my total projection was 100 points. And I thought, well, at least I'm trying my best. And the guy I played, he he didn't have any room either. He had the same thing happen where he had a couple guys injured. If he would have picked up the Chargers D, Matt, he would have beat me. He ended up not being able to play a D because he didn't have a roster spot for one. I lucked out.
Well, speaking of god-awful defenses, Pittsburgh has been a disappointment.
I saw that.
I thought for sure, I thought there was a possibility that they would give up more points just because of how Aaron Rodgers was playing. But I also thought that they would get sacks, interceptions, things like that would balance it out. And they've just been atrocious. So, like, going into the week, I was like, I can't ride them playing the Packers because they're going to want to, like, stick it to Rodgers as well. So, on a whim, I picked up Tampa's defense. It ended up getting me, like, 30 points and balanced out Saquon doing damage.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Steelers defense, I honestly, I don't know if you saw the bids or the league. I bid on every single defense available. Because after I didn't have picks and I could put Nico on the DL or on the IR, I said, dude, I got to pick up every D. So I just put $1 on in order of like my favorite, which would have been actually looking at the ones that are still available. I think I made out because there were a lot of them that were negatives. Like I had the Bengals kind of high and the Bears because I thought they both were playing back up. They were playing each other, I thought. Or no, maybe that's this week. And I thought they were playing backup quarterbacks, dude. They had 0. The Bengals had -9. Oh, they played the Jets. I had the Jets on there too. They were -3. So me luckily picking up the Texans worked out. And they played the Niners. I thought they had one of the hardest matchups, but I can't keep straight on who the Niners QB is going to be. Right? Is Mac Jones back? Is it Mac Jones? Is it Purdy? But May with the Patriots, I'm not buying that. Are you?
No.
I'm playing him in fantasy this week, and I thought, you know what? I don't think there's any worry. Right? I'm more worried if I don't even know. Our projected totals are pretty bad. But I'm playing another guy. Are you even tied with Nate? I don't even know what our thing is. No, you're not. I'll have to knock him down a peg and get him eliminated from the playoffs. But we have to be closing in. We can't have many weeks left, I don't think. I'm number 2. I'm number 2 in points scored in our league behind the guy I just beat. And knocked him down. But I'm liking the year. Normally by this time, bye weeks kill me. And the fact that I've made it through a couple of them, I'm feeling good. If I find more guys to pick up, I'll talk about them on the show. It'd probably be too late, right? Sometimes I tell which guys I'm going to bid on, but this week I don't even know, other than Tracy, but I already picked him up. And that was lucky, right? Thanks, Lamar Jackson, for going back on the IR. That's the only way I had a roster spot for him. That was pure luck. Anyone you think is hot that you'd be worth picking up?
Honestly, I feel like anyone that would be worth picking up. I mean, whoever the running back is for the Giants now that Gadaboo's out would be a fast pickup.
Yeah, that's a guy. That's Tracy. That's a guy I have.
Oh, okay.
So,
like, that's what I said. Like with a league like ours, it's hard to have guys consistently in place. You know, I think Hampton, when he comes back, he should be coming off the IR here in a couple of weeks. That'll be a helper for me.
What about looking at the highest scores from last week? What about my boy Roman Wilson, dude? Finally getting some play and a touchdown for the Steelers.
But he has inconsistent Steelers. Like there's nothing that I saw someone commenting that it was like Green Bay is running an offense from 2005 or 2025, and the Steelers are running an offense from 1995.
Well, it was like weird. Like they don't have any rhyme or reason, right?
Yeah, That's it's so frustrating.
I mean, the Green Bay offense has been consistently good with Love. And even when Rodgers was there, that was my beef. Where I thought they should just get rid of Rodgers because it seemed like he wasn't spreading the ball around. Like, I've seen Roman Wilson get some space the last couple weeks, and he's getting like 1 or 2 targets. He's the deep threat. I think at the 40-yard dash, I know he's been injured, so I don't know if it affected his time, but didn't he run like a 4.3 or something like that? 4.2. So you have a burner that's going deep and you're taking no shots to him. Then what are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
Having Wilson take the top off the defense opens up so much more for Metcalf that it's unbelievable. Right? And then you're shoving into the tight ends. Did Freiermuth get hurt in that game? It looked like he just got a bruise, though. I don't know if he came back. I can't remember if he came back or not. Oh, that one like screen to him. But then I thought, like, why are you throwing that to him anyway? Hit 2 guys on him. He got like chopped up. I think it was Freiermuth. So it's like, and then they're just handing off into like a stacked box. Like I just don't get the offense. It's weird. It's almost like they're just using like the Madden recommends, like random play, and there's no flow. Like they're not building anything up.
Yeah.
So
that's always been the thing that I've been most frustrated with. Is that you have such a hard time understanding what the hell they're trying to accomplish.
I like how ESPN didn't even re-update Tyler Huntley's image. It looks like he still has a Dolphins jersey on or something. Where they're like, nah, son, we're not even putting in the time. We don't care. We don't care that you're the starter quarterback for the Ravens while Lamar Jackson's out. You're done. No one's picking you up. But yeah, I don't have anything else. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, dude. We're getting picked up. There's another. If you listen to the YouTube podcast app, they're supposed to start making our podcast available to people in foreign languages. I don't know who's playing me or who's playing Matt, but I hope I get someone sounding good, right? So tell your friends, if you want to learn about American football, recommend our podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.